Today's job is to replace the lower roller hinge on this Volkswagen T5. Basically the ball bearing, or the runner on the hinge is on the roller is broken off, and the plate that's here is scraping along the metalwork and the paint every time the door opens and closes, and so that's obviously going to be a rust problem that I'll probably need to fix. So I've got a new hinge, a new roller, which I got from Just Campers, £27 I think it was. There's cheaper ones on eBay and Amazon, but I thought, being Just Campers, it's probably going to be a better chance of it being a good fit, and it's some German product, so hopefully it'll be all right. So the first task is to undo these nuts here, and looking on other videos I've had conflicting advice about what size they are. These, so I can only assume that they vary from van to van, but in my case they were an M8 spline, so I had to buy this little set here, and it was quite a big one. So the first thing I did was undo the first one. The second one is a bit more tricky because of the padding on the inside of the door, so as not to approach the spline thread at an angle and risk it breaking. I've put an extension piece here on the socket set, and that's given me a fairly good angle getting in to undo that. So as you can see, that's taken that out nicely. Looking at other videos, the advice is to support the door, because once that connection is broken, the door will drop and could break. So I've used the jack that was supplied with the van and just put some cloths here to make sure it's not going to damage the paintwork. And the other advice I saw was have another attempt to stop the door dropping. Put a rope on the top. I've got that fixed all the way over the van and tied to the wheel. So I've detached the roller arm from the plate on the door, and I have to say it is a little bit on the wobbly side, but I think it's going to be all right. So the jack is holding it, and hopefully the rope is doing something as well. And now the next step is to remove the spline nuts from in here, which is securing a piece of metal here, which is preventing this roller from being removed, and that's also the M8 spline. So that goes in there. So just taking the last nut out, and then so that was a little bit stiff because of the sort of child lock thing, I think, but once that was out of the way, this plate just comes out, and then so there you go, you see, completely lost its middle roller, so the thing was just scraping along the bottom all over my paintwork and not being held up by that roller at all. So by comparison, that's what I want to put in, and that roller should roll along the floor nicely. The new part came with this little arm and a spring, but no one seems to know what it does, apart from it's possibly to do with a child lock. The one that came out didn't have anything of the sort, And so the general advice is, if it didn't have it before, don't worry about putting it on now. So the only other thing I was going to do was give this little channel a clean out, because it's pretty grubby. I'm going to use these multitask wipes, so a whole box of them from Screwfix, pretty cheap, and they're really good at sorting out grease and wiping off paint and all sorts of things. I think there's quite a lot of grease in there, so I think somebody's tried to grease these rollers in the past, which is the wrong thing to do with this kind of roller. So once all the grease is off, you can see that that roller is taken off quite a lot of paint. So first step, just put the thing into that gap, and then next step is to put this stop back in there where it was, so that the whole thing so the thing doesn't fall out. So there's the little M8 spline nuts back in, and we've just got to screw them in. So the next step, now that this arm is down here, is to marry these two holes up and stick the nut back in. And just lining them up. So they're both in there finger tight now, so just need to do them up tight. So they're both tightened up now. So I'm hoping that will hold the door. So the moment of truth, I'm going to let the jack down. Alright, it's good, hasn't fallen on the floor. Undo the rope, holding the door at the top. So I think I can see, stuck in the recess here, the old roller. So that is causing the door, I think, to not close properly. So the door doesn't seem to be closing quite right, so I'm wondering if this is getting in the way at the recess when I'm trying to close it. So I'm going to unscrew these again and push this little lever around here, so it's hopefully out of the way. Actually, what I've discovered is the problem is there's adjustment on the door. So those are in, those nuts are in, but the door has got some adjustment. So what that means is that these connections up here on the door need to marry up with these little holes. So I need to adjust the door a little bit in and out so that they meet. So I'm going to leave that little lever there for now. Hopefully it's not going to cause a problem, and I'll see if I can get the door position adjusted correctly. So having adjusted the hinges, it's actually now those little things are matching up properly now, so the door closes so that sounds just right.